And we're live. We're back again. Welcome back to another episode of these crazy people that just eat meat and can't stop talking about it. I'm Tom, and this is Justin, all out life carnivore. And here's another episode of the Meat Mosaic. And Justin sent me this study from ResearchGate that we decided to cover. But why don't we take a minute and go over a few other minor details? So, what's been going on in your life, Justin?
Hey, welcome back to myself since I am back. Missed 1 week or 2 weeks. I
They'll
legitimately
say
can't remember. Two,
two.
two. Okay, that's right.
You had two
Um,
weeks worth of excuses.
2 weeks worth of excuses.
Yeah.
Well, one of those weeks, Tom actually got to see me in person. Isn't that right?
Yeah, you were here, and we still didn't manage to do a video while you were here.
Yeah. I had a lot of places to go and a lot of people to see. It's all right. It was in
See,
my contract. You
it's in
see,
your contract. Huh?
it was in my contract. Yeah. Um, California, always beautiful. Traffic, still not fun. Don't miss it. Um, but I've had quite a bit of life events. This is not a new green screen. This is the new living area. Um,
Don't
I've
worry, nobody expects you to actually go to the trouble of setting up a green screen. Like, you got over that a long time ago, decided it just wasn't worth your time.
no, it's not that it was. Anyway, that's a different discussion. Anyway, this is. I'll probably be doing videos from here, but I might be doing videos from a couple other rooms. I've moved. I'm in the process of moving. Sarah's here. She's upstairs.
Who's Sarah?
My wife. I have a wife now. I have a
You're
wifey.
married?
I'm
Oh my
married.
God.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Right. So there we go. So I went to California for a little what do you call it? After reception. The reception in California.
Hmm.
It was really nice. Tom was there. Thank you, Tom, for letting us graciously use your property. Um,
What,
and
what property?
because it was a carnivore celebration. What did I have, Tom?
Steak and hot dogs and hamburgers and chicken feet.
Yeah.
But
Some chicken
5150
feet.
Keto Warrior has arrived. Let's get the party
Hey,
started.
5150. Thanks for being here. But yeah, it's been good moving. I'm glad I got to make it today. Got in a fight with IKEA, but I have victory because the chair got built before I needed it. So there we go.
You had an issue with IKEA?
No, I had an issue with building something from IKEA, which is the typical issue with IKEA, right? I mean, that's why everything's so cheap, is because you have to build it yourself. I don't know. That seems to be the thing.
Yeah, there's quite a few memes about assembling something from IKEA. So,
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
But it got done. I only built a couple things backwards and had to take it apart a couple of times to put it back together the right way. But it is done and it is functional, unless this collapses during the live stream, at
Did
which
you get
point,
did you get the instructions in Swedish only or something?
well, it's the one with the little man and he just points at things for you. But like, I don't know, there's no like depth. Like when you attach something, you don't know if it's on the inside or the outside, you know? I don't
Right.
know.
I don't
Yeah.
know, but I'll take your word for it.
Right. Hi Raymond. Practice run for daylight savings. Hello. Are we an hour early? I didn't
Uh,
update my clock. I don't know what time it is.
yeah, today is where it would be an hour earlier because the as far as I know, the clocks are supposed to flip.
Yeah, this is
Um,
the internet. I thought unless like you have
yeah,
just like your stove and microphone.
yeah. So it would, I think the clocks moved forward an hour last night at 2 or whatever. So
There is a bill that by 2025 they're going to do away with daylight savings. So call your congressman, call your senators. I think it's something the left and the right can agree on. No more daylight savings time.
Yeah, I would hope. It seems so silly. I don't know why we do it. It's just a hassle. It's not the biggest hassle in the world, but
Well,
it's
didn't it
a
have to do
hassle.
something with farming like a couple hundred years ago or
Yeah,
something?
which I still don't understand. I mean, I get it. You you want to farm, do most of your farming while the sun's up, but I don't understand why everybody has to adjust their clocks. You just go, well, shit, sun came up earlier, sun went down earlier, sun stayed up longer. I mean, well, so what? I've heard the argument, and I think people thought they were clever when they did it, and maybe it was helpful. It seemed it seems dumb though. I mean, what is it?
Yeah.
Is it what time you start school? What time you open the courthouse? Is what what time the trains run? What the hell is going on? That was so important that you just couldn't work around the fact that the days would get longer and shorter all the time. And then how do you pick that perfect day? Would you like? Yeah, we're just going to adjust everything by an hour, and then we're going to adjust it back. Yeah.
Well, for when we uh, fall back, the candy companies lobbied to move that after Halloween because kids would go to bed, little kids or whatever, right? Go to bed at 9, right? So they, if it had daylight savings, then the kids wouldn't be out an extra hour, basically. Of So they lobbied because they calculated that like they were getting so much candy profit loss from that hour that they lobbied to make sure that we fall back the hour after uh, Halloween, or the weekend after Halloween, the Sunday after
Mm,
or whatever. Yeah, kind of weird.
kind of weird.
Yeah. So other
Weird.
people have lobbied and messed with it, but not to get rid of it. So I don't know what the candy companies are going to do. Because the candy companies, they have a lot of pull in this country.
They'll
People
just
don't
advertise to
realize
start trick or treating earlier or something. Whatever.
pre-treating like the night
Start giving
before.
out bags of bags with more candy in it. So there's like, oh, here's give out these 5-piece assortment kits rather than buying a jumbo bag and handing them out one at a time.
I don't think I've ever been to a house that just handed me one candy. Maybe once or twice.
Just
Like
because
they're
you're a
pretty
spoiled
generous these
millennial.
days. Oh, poor Tom trick or treating only got handed. Or did you get an orange or like an apple?
Oh hell yeah! People handed out fruit when I was a kid.
Okay, what's worse, Tom, the candy or the fruit? I'm kind of stuck now. I don't know. I don't know anymore.
Well, let's say hi to Marjorie Martinez before we forget. She popped in.
Hi,
And of course,
Marjorie.
Raymond said it's his bad. His watch is wrong. Well, Raymond, I know you can probably have any watch you want. So why don't you get one? You get a nice digital one to automatically adjust for you, and or maybe don't because it is kind of funny. So I don't really want to kill the humor cow here, but it would be funny if Raymond said the same thing next year and the year after. But anyways, Raymond's here instead of at a concert, so hopefully he's not missing something.
Ooh, you're
So
right, Marjorie. They have those big, like, single serve bags of beef jerky at Costco. Just buy a couple of those and hand those out.
are you seeing a message from Marjorie?
I am in the chat. Give me a beef jerky. And neurodivergent Jules said,
You
"What's
know
up,
what?
y'all? What's
My
up?"
chat's doing it again. It did it last week. Like the chats weren't updating. And then all of a sudden, boom, there was like 10 of them updated all at once. So
See, this is why I get paid. This is why, despite my flaws of being late,
you get
despite my
paid,
flaws,
you don't get paid. And what the hell does it have to do with you?
no, because I'm able to read the chats when yours is still loading. I gave people recognition,
It is not loading.
validation.
Ah, there it is. Clicked out, clicked in. Now I see it. Oh, it looks like Jules is here too. Huh? What's up,
I
Jules?
I just said that. Okay, it's fine.
Mm.
We're a little rusty. I understand. It's been a couple of weeks without me. I know things tend to go off the rails a little bit when I'm not here.
Yeah, that's
So
exactly
it's
what happens. Nothing, nothing goes smoothly without you. Oh my God, I'm so glad you're back.
exactly. See, thank you. Thank you.
I wonder if Jules, she was planning on moving to Hawaii, wasn't she? Back
Yeah,
to
I think
Hawaii.
so.
I
I don't
wonder
know
if
if she's in
she must be
Hawaii
there by
yet.
now. Oh, Miss Patricia's here too. Hello, Miss Patricia.
Miss Patricia. Hello.
Yeah. So he's Justin's still eating burgers.
Hmm.
So that was, let's see, a full 20 minutes, 25 minutes ago. He was eating burgers, and now he's still eating burgers. What's up with that?
Well, I came on here. I actually put the show ahead of my stomach
Mm,
because I was hungry.
that's amazing.
That's amazing, right? So I brought the burgers to the show. I mean, it's appropriate. I am in the kitchen.
How are you? Would have never
Ah.
guessed.
Mm.
Must be nice weather. It looks like the window's open back there.
No, the window's not open.
Ah,
I mean, like the blinds are open for sunlight, but like the window's not open.
hmm. It's still
One more,
daylight there.
yeah, one more fun fact about daylight savings.
Hmm.
I think it's tomorrow because we move forward, right? So tomorrow, Monday, is the nation's number one heart attack morning.
Hmm.
Is tomorrow morning.
Yeah, we were talking about that because who was it? Who was it that had a heart attack?
My
We were,
friend had a heart attack.
your friend had. That's right. Your friend had a heart
Yeah,
attack, and
right.
it was like early morning, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I no, and I had a neighbor, same thing. He'd have heart attacks in the morning. Finally, passed away from them. But yeah, it's something about early morning people getting up or whatever, waking up and having a heart attack in the morning. And of course, you do the time change thing, and you just trigger more heart attacks. I think it's just additional
So,
stress. Uh, Keto Warrior says, "Why is that?" And I think it's just the stress of waking up. People wake up tired, and you get that shot of cortisol, and your blood starts pumping, and you get that final little bit of clog going on, that last bit of inflammation that breaks the camel's back, and you know there goes that left ascending artery.
well, it's a fatal case of the Mondays, you know.
Fatal case of the Mondays.
Yeah, well, because, a lot of people don't like their job. So typically, most people start the work week on Monday, right? And so getting up, that stress of starting the work week, boom, heart attack, out.
Yeah, yeah. I remember a long time ago there was a study they had made the start time for schools later
Yeah.
in this town, and they uh, they had a huge drop in traffic accidents.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't know what this thing is about making everything earlier. I kind of think humans weren't meant to be getting up before the sun and doing a bunch of crap. So I know a lot of people like to get up and be outside for the dawn or whatever, but seems like you know, seems like it seems like people would wake up after the sunlight comes up.
Yeah,
You know what
well,
I
I
mean?
mean, I think there was a dual evolution in that you had the night owls, right? The people that come from the tribes or the people in those tribes that were up all night guarding, keeping watch, right? And then you had the other people that would get up before the rest of the tribe to alleviate that person, right? Tap them on the shoulder, be like, hey, I've got watch now. So I think it's coming from us having to run on like a 24-hour clock, um, to keep from predators, not just animal but other humans, right? Invasion or whatever.
Do you have any evidence for this theory?
Well, I just think it's one of those things that you see how there are. I mean, do you deny that there's night owls and like morning people or whatever?
I do not, but I don't know that it has anything to do with past history, right? Could
Well, I
all be
think you.
explained by modern environments, right?
Well, but but the modern environment hasn't been long enough to us to
Well, how do we know we
evolve
hadn't?
to
Do we know
change.
that? Do we know it's a product of evolution? One, it could be, but I think it's just as likely that it has nothing to do with evolution. It's just our environment. You
Like
know,
the overstimulation.
yeah. Overstimulation, more to do. I mean, we're not exactly sure when we started controlling fire, right? So if it's pitch black and you got nothing to do, you're probably just gonna go to sleep, right? So people, we know before electric lights, people slept more. There's evidence of that, but that's the relatively recent history. So, and I'm not saying there's what you're saying is entirely plausible. I just don't see any evidence from the past for it. That's all I'm saying.
Fair enough. Well, the tribes that weren't really good at keeping watch 24/7 probably were not from that stock because they probably got wiped out.
Well, I mean that assumes that people are near predators all the time. They're gonna lose all the time too, right? Because people in communities or whatever, you know, large groups or whatever, they're relatively safe, you know. And I mean, if there's, let's say, people are a bunch of mammoth hunters and they're just flying around eating mammoths, right? That's what they do.
Mm,
They
mm.
don't fight over land. They don't fight over water. They don't fight over gold or oil or food, right? So, why would they attack each other?
We're human. We'll find a damn reason. We're pretty good at this.
Well, I mean, however common violence is, it's noteworthy because nonviolence is actually the norm, right?
Right.
So, I mean, human history is more of an escalation towards violence, and then now it's tapering off, right?
It depends on how you classify. I mean, I suppose the world's more peaceful now than I don't know.
Well,
We have
yeah,
bigger guns
there
now.
there's less war. There's less fighting. There's less, the things like war and homicide are tapering off statistically. The world is more peaceful than it used to be, for sure.
Yeah. Right.
I know a lot of people don't. You wouldn't know that from watching the evening news because that's their job, is to talk about violence, right?
Right.
And of course, it's everybody always talks about how popular, especially with women, how popular the murder channels are. It's like all the shows that talk about, you know, serial killers and, homicide and, solving crimes and stuff. Is like very, very popular. Right. So if
Right.
that's all you're watching, you think everything, the world is just a wash in homicide. It's actually getting better. So
Also true.
it's gotten unpopular to be violent and murderous.
A little, yeah, a bit. I mean, for a time, I think that we're getting kind of deep civilization, deep philosophical stuff here, but I think it's in cycles, you know. And if you want to know, this is gonna come. I don't know how else to say this without it coming out terribly unpolitically correct or anything else.
What does that ever
Um,
stop to you?
right? Yeah.
You said
Um,
some pretty outrageous things, so I don't know why you would hold back. Now,
right. But if you want to know what the future looks like, look at who the women are having sex with. Is it suits or is it boxing gloves?
I don't know. You tracking that?
Well, I mean, I think it can be tracked.
Yes. So, would you like to give us some idea what trend you seem to be seeing?
It's certainly not suits.
It's certainly not suits. So you think?
It's certainly not suits. No,
I
I think
I
I
think
think
for one,
women.
there's a lot more suits than there are boxers or MMA fighters or whatever. Even throw the NFL in there. Just not fighters so much as
Well, I'm not talking
sports.
about top level. That was just that was not a red herring, but that you know.
You just got
What I'm
married.
saying is
Are you a suit or are
people
you a
with
boxer?
but so the thug type, you know.
So would you consider yourself thuggish?
I'm much too thuggish for my stature.
Oh, okay. So that's how you got a girl is being a thug of diminutive stature.
Yes.
Okay. Maybe the girls in the audience would like to chime in on this one, or well, the guys too. I mean, let's hear what people have observed. So I don't know. I'm just gonna. I think in general, I just disagree with you, but this is not what we're here for, so we probably shouldn't dig too deep, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh,
Hi,
Christina's here.
Christina.
Uh,
And we can jump into well, we can't. I mean, we could, but it just rolls all the way back into R versus K selection. You know.
yeah, and I mean, there's an argument to be made that certain girls like bad boys, and then most women typically claim to be attracted or are overtly attracted to somebody they feel safe with. Which sometimes you feel safe with somebody who's dangerous to everyone else, and hopefully not to you, right? I mean, that's a that's a common sort of relationship. So I mean, there's something to it, but I think if you got a lot of money because you're a suit, that's a big attractant as well. So
Well, and they could be dangerous in another way, right? Like they don't get their hands dirty; they hire people to get their hands dirty.
so you think some guy working at Golden Slacks, he just hires thugs. He hires Justin to go out and
Well, not some
yeah. How
guy,
do you
but
do it? You do it in like toe slippers and a ski mask with a ninja suit or something. Is that your style? Is you get the call from the dude at Goldman Slacks and you dispatch to deliver some thugman justice to the world. Is that what you do?
hey, I'm not going to reveal my ninja ways.
Well, hypothetically, if you were that type of person, is that how you do it?
Wait, am I the Goldman Slacks guy, or am I
No,
the?
you're the diminutive thug.
Oh no, I'd probably be more like that. Man, what's that game? Crap, Hitman, like the Hitman game series or whatever. I don't know. I mean James Bond, right? So James Bond's in a suit, but he's also very dangerous. And James Bond is kind of like the archetypal male figure for most women. Is, right?
So he's just blurring the line between suits and thugs. Is that what you're saying?
But he's just a high dollar thug.
It's high
He
dollar.
does thug stuff for the government,
Mm.
right? It's fine, Christina. We'll move on.
Yeah, what exactly are we talking about? I don't know. We're taking a peek inside of Justin's thought process here.
Thank you. Neurodivergence with me. That's all that matters.
All right. 007 us back to the article, shall we? You
Sure.
wanna sort of set it up and I'll share the screen?
I told you my mouse is broken.
No, I said I'll share the screen.
Oh, set it up? I don't
Pay
know what you mean by
attention.
set it up then, because that sounds like saying
Explain
share.
it.
Oh, okay.
Jesus Christ. Did you read it?
I skimmed through it.
I don't know. Maybe you can't eat and talk at the same time because I'm seeing a Justin would be the Crocs assassin. You know, that's funny that Raymond Raymond brings that up because every day I'm at the gym, I see more people wearing Crocs to the gym, and it's really funny watching people try to get a good solid stance when they're lifting, and you can see you can see that's like standing on jello, right? Because the Crocs just they're soft. They're very,
Right.
very soft and thick and cushy. And I'm just like, who thought it was a good idea to do weightlifting in Crocs? I'm just saying, I don't think it's the ideal shoe. I mean, I think the ideal shoe is no shoe. So, but I like where Raymond's going with that because the Crocs assassin. At least Crocs can be very quiet. That could
Yeah,
be
there you
said,
go.
right? And we
That's
know, I
true.
mean, like if you're a messy assassin, you get blood everywhere. You got a decent chance of not slipping in Crocs because that's all the doctors and nurses wore them for a while, so they must be good around slippery, messy situations, right?
They must be good around blood and and fluids. I don't
Right, blood and fluids. All right, so yeah, tell us about the article, and I'll share it up here a sec.
Yeah, so I'm part of a group on Facebook. I'm not a part of. I joined. I don't know. I'm in there. Whatever. Called Vegan versus Omni or whatever.
Does that group still exist?
It does still exist. It's
I
still
must have
there.
got thrown out because I haven't seen anything posted from there in a long time.
I think you just have like more important things, and I'm not pretty active in there, but sometimes it's fun because being carnivore, you get to upset everybody, and those are the places I want to be, where I upset everybody. That's why I'm here. Um, and so one of the vegans posted this article, and I thought it was very entertaining and just another example of how uh, much fallen the modern day academic institution is at. This is where we're at. I think the article's from 2017, so it's about 10 years old, I suppose, but
Hmm.
still good for a LARF. I'm sure it's still being cited
What is a
somewhere.
larf?
A LARP? LARF?
You just said it was good for a larf.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's something Mr. Burns said at one time, so it's
Ah.
probably like a catchphrase from like 1810 or
Would you
something.
like to tell everybody who Mr. Burns is?
Mr. Burns from The Simpsons? I don't think Mr. Burns needs introduction. Excellent.
He might. I mean, some people haven't seen The Simpsons in a while.
Well, you still know who
That's
Mr.
true.
Burns is.
I'm not sure. It's so weird. It's not letting me. I've got it open in an Acrobat, and it's not giving me the option to show it. It's so weird.
I just want to take one moment to say that even though my worst is tech, my wow, I completely messed that up. I just want to take a moment to say that even though my internet is technically worse, I'm not skipping tonight. So it was
Hmm.
something with that apartment.
It was
Just
haunted.
really weird. Now all I need to do is find my microphone and we'll be all set.
Hey, you lost my microphone.
I didn't lose it. It's in a box. Those are two completely
Damn.
different things. I did lose all my cookware. I don't know where that is. That
Hmm.
is still lost.
This is the article on the website. And it's kind of painful to look at. Um, I have the PDF open, and for some reason, doesn't want to let me share that. And I'm a little baffled. I mean, sure, I don't know why it wouldn't let me share it.
Maybe switch it to a JPEG and share it as a picture.
You want me to convert the PDF to a JPEG? Come on now,
Yeah, that'll be fun.
let's let's not do that,
So
right?
basically, the article does its best to make an argument that
Hmm.
carnism, as they stated in the article, uh, those that eat meat is basically the root of all other evils. basically. And there's some research surveys where they link um, eating meat to psychopathology or
Psychopathy.
psychopathy. Yeah. Um, to psychopathy, being antisocial personality disorder, basically, is the case that they try to make, that eating meat makes you more thuggish, I suppose. Um, I think that's funny. I think there's so many other more things to look at for when it comes to psychopathy, antisocial personality disorder. I
So
would think
weird.
trauma plays a huge part in that. So, basically, this person wrote this article to not look at their childhood trauma, and wanted to just blame eating meat for
Yeah,
their
yeah.
poor
It,
parenting.
it's pretty hilarious because it's one of the this is one of those cases where you go, wow, these people are calling this science. It's amusing. And let me just say, like I've said many times, I encourage people to read scientific papers. I encourage people to read the books. The even the vegan books.
Mhm.
I think people should consume as much of it as possible, just just to be aware. I mean, none of us want to be stuck in our own bubble, you know. And I I always kind of hesitate to criticize people unless I know what they really said or what they really believe, because
Oh yeah.
it's easy to get duped, right? You see
Uh-huh.
some headline, or this story's been repeated 100 times. It's not accurate. It's not complete. It's not in context. So um but as far as scientific papers go, places like ResearchGate and PLOS One, uh PubMed, you can read lots and lots of scientific papers there. You can search all day long. So I encourage people to do it. And for people like myself who are dyslexic or visually impaired or whatever, there is a lot of great books on Audible. You can join Audible. And then in this case, I downloaded this PDF to my phone and was letting Adobe read it to me so I could
Mm.
get through it. I like to go through things as many times as I can have time for, because I never get everything in one pass. And this one's not particularly long, but um particularly books, a good book with a lot of information or a lot of good concepts or whatever. Um, Even bad ones. It's like I'd like to really understand the facts they're presenting and you know, the concepts or ideas. So anyways, this one, like I said, you can use a desktop computer, a tablet, or a phone, and have documents read to you. You can get audiobooks, and yeah, I know for a lot of people out there. I mean, I spend a lot of time in the car too, so it's a good way to fill up that time sitting in traffic. Walking the dog at the gym. That's a lot of time I can be listening to something while I'm doing something else I have to do or want to do, makes better use of the time. That's one of the reasons why I've been able to get through so much material, even though I'm a super, super slow reader. So, anyways, this article is called The Carnism Inventory, Measuring the Ideology of Eating Animals. And I thought it was hilarious. When
Mhm.
Justin first sent it to me, I was like, "Oh my god, did it just shrink out of control?" But did this screen size change for you too?
No,
Uh,
looks great.
okay. Yeah, I'm having an issue here. It keeps yo-yoing back and forth. Come on. All right, I have to leave it there. So just sent this link. The link is already in the show notes. So if you're looking at YouTube and go to the show notes, the link to this should be in there. Um, I like how they made some comment about, they think some people have this attitude that they they're gonna about animals, where it's something. I want to say I got this pretty close to accurate. It said animals are dirty, so they deserve to be eaten. That's like, why is this in a scientific paper, right? It's like, if with all the billions of people in the world, are we going to find a sane person, a reasonable, everyday kind of person who's going to say, yeah, animals are dirty, they deserve to be eaten? Can you imagine? Can
I've
you
never even
imagine?
heard of an unreasonable person saying that. Like
Right.
I've never thought that, nor have I ever heard anyone else say it or
Yeah.
think it.
But apparently they think this is a popular attitude, at least enough to be influential enough to mention in a paper like this. That blows my mind. It's so silly.
And 345 citations and 19 publications. Oh, of this doctored lady.
Yeah.
University of Mainz, I guess. Just saying, whatever university this person works at, maybe you don't want to send your kids there.
Yeah. Um, on this whole idea, what was it? The to try and think of the frame, but like they make it sound like humans walk around feeling entitled to eat animals, and they talk about animal rights. Do they mention animals having the right not to be eaten? And I'm like,
Humans don't even have the right to not be eaten.
exactly. I'm like, do I have a right for not to be eaten by a shark? Is that a
Right.
thing? Right? I could just go swimming off of Bondi Beach and not worry about a shark eating me. I mean, seriously.
Or bear, or lion,
Bear.
or
The bears.
hippo, or trampled by an elephant.
Yeah, Justin's doing a mukbang show today, isn't he? He's now been eating for almost an hour straight. So, yeah, I don't know. Does a snake have a right not to be eaten by an eagle? I'm just saying. I watched the hawk just tearing up a rat in my backyard not that long ago. What
Wow,
kind of rights
awesome.
did that rat have? Or is it only against humans? I mean, I look at it like animals have been eating animals since the beginning of animals, right?
Right.
Probably all the way back to single cell organisms, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're pretty sure the birth of the karyotic cell was when one single celled creature swallowed, what became mitochondria, right? And that's the beginning. That's the beginning of a mutually beneficial relationship, right?
Right.
But before that, they just all ate each other, killed each other, poisoned each other, injected solvents, and ate the innards, right? You want to read? I can't get to the comments, but I saw them scrolling. You want to read them?
Sure. Um, I guess this is from Jules. I guess right or wrong goes with the fact that we are sentient beings. Well, yeah, I mean, so we have a responsibility for morality uh, because we are sentient and because we have the responsibility. Animals do not have virtue. Virtue is a human construct, human operation,
But
basically.
animals could appear to have virtue, right?
Well, they're responding to stimulus and they're being just moving the ball forward to the next reproductive, right? Whatever's going to get them more food, whatever's going to get their offspring to survive. There's no altruism in the animal kingdom. Um,
Says you.
So there's no delay of gratification in the animal kingdom. That's even a better one because that's even harder for people to argue against. Whereas humans do have delay of gratification, right? It's why we have civilization is because of the delaying of gratification. Thinking ahead, moving the ball ahead, not just for ourselves, not just for our family, but purposely, but oftentimes I think inadvertently for humanity. Um, so, but the morality switch is a double sided coin because you have morality, you must also have responsibility. I.e., if a cow slams into your car, can you take the cow to work? I mean, to court. Sorry, not work. Can you take the cow to court? Well, you can't. Well, it's like, why not? It's like, well, because it can't advocate, right? It's not even that speech is the issue. Like it's much deeper than that. Like even if a cow could be articulate enough, they wouldn't have morality still. Be like, yeah, I ran into your car, whatever. There was a other cow over there that I, needed or something like that. I don't know it. I don't know the desire of a cow, but nonetheless, it's all just stimulus reaction. And yes, there are a lot of people, or there are people that act very similarly. Don't get me wrong, and that's
All
why
right.
we have
So
prisons.
let's get back to the article more specifically. So, what other silly points did they make?
I mean, the whole thing is pretty silly. Um,
Measuring the ideology of eating animals.
yeah, I mean, eating animals is not an ideology. Uh, I like to breathe. I'm a huge advocate of breathing air. Um, I'm a huge advocate of the people I love breathing air. I'm a huge advocate of my friends breathing air. I'm a huge, generally most people, bare minimum, I'm happy that they're breathing, and that goes for most people. I mean, like, not me saying that goes for most people, but most people were happy that there's other people breathing, right? Is breathing an ideology? It's a requirement, right? To keep things moving, literally. And I see the same as meat as a requirement to keep things moving.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the article sort of tries to tie together eating meat with negative personality traits and sort of hints at sort of political um, ideology as well. So, um, anyways, it was super silly. And were you saying that somebody from the vegan side had sort of um, put this in their group
Yeah.
to support their?
Well, I don't think it was to just get laughed at.
How did that debate go in there? I imagine it was is pretty extensive.
Um, they pretty much got hate from all sides. I mean, even the vegans in there were like, "This is too silly. This makes us look bad. Um, this makes the institutions look bad, et cetera, et cetera." Yeah. So, really didn't go anywhere, but it was fun. I mean, I'm not one to say this shouldn't exist or anything. I just think it's really funny and it deserves to be mocked. You know.
Yeah, this is the one you want to send people. They're like, well, let me see your peer reviewed published studies that have been cited frequently. Well, here you go.
Right.
It's rather popular, being passed around on the internet. Not that that's necessarily a valid citation, but here you go. How does this pass for science? It's like, how is how is this like confusing mess of, like I'm looking at the section about dominating animals, right? It's like, I don't know, sharks dominate on seals, right? Don't you know, don't aardvarks dominate ants? That's just kind of what they do, right?
And come on, let's be real. You know this girl is a woman, right? When she out there having a few drinks. Wow, I was totally gonna. Okay, I'm not gonna go there, but I'm gonna go there.
Oh no, you're not.
You know, she's having a hamburger patty. You know, after a few drinks, she's having a little bit of cocktail shrimp.
Tamara M. Failer, Pfeiler, Pfeiler, Johannes Gutenberg Universitats Mainz. So, guessing she's German.
Hmm. Speaking of universities and veganism, so Oxford recently declared that their cafeteria or eatery, I've never been to Oxford, so I don't know how they do their food things. It's going to be all vegan now. So, this is the thing where the quote unquote upper class is always trying to separate itself from the lower classes, um, which is why you get these now coming out of the universities, these crazy belief systems. There's a term for it. I just can't think of it right now, but basically having the privilege to have such and such belief. Um, and so Oxford, right? You roll back 30, 40 years, a requirement to go there was that you had to know Latin. And then I think before that, you actually had to learn Greek. So our institutions, our upper class, have fallen so far that the requirement. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm sure learning Latin is difficult. I'm sure learning Greek is difficult. Um, but now the separating line, right, is not that you must be vegan, but like tolerate the diet, right, for your prestige, your pinky up, you know.
Yeah, yeah. It's, this is a commonly discussed these days, is that a lot of these very prestigious schools, they once were inhabited by, very intelligent people, the super titans of intelligence, the rare, extremely bright people would teach there, publish there, do studies there, and so on and so forth. And over time, they've mostly become just finishing schools for the elite, right?
Right, right.
So instead of, you know, doing some brainy stuff and moving the needle, they 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 publish comedic stuff like this. It's like wow. You want to read the abstract for everybody real quick, just so they get a taste of it?
Sure.
So if I can get it dialed in here. There it is. See the abstract starting on page 4. I think you could see it.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know if you're reading your own copy or you're reading it off the screen or what. But just
I'm
let me
reading it
know.
off the screen. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, Abstract beliefs surrounding the practice of eating animals are widely held, and I have been argued to constitute an ideology named, and have been argued to constitute an ideology named Carnism, whoever Joy 2009 is. We developed and validated the novel Carnism inventory to measure two positively related components of carnistic beliefs: carnistic defense and carnistic domination. We anticipated that carnistic defense would legitimate the practice of eating animals, while carnistic domination would support the killing of animals for their meat. The carnism inventory showed the hypothesized two dimensional structure, as well as good internal consistency and stability. We also demonstrated the convergent and discriminant validity of the Carnism inventory. As expected, kind of too fast, too slow. I don't know. Let's see. Research. Oh, I am just totally lost now, Tom. Sorry. Maybe we're gonna have to just hit the arrow there. The process through which billions of animals turned into food are associated with widespread ethical concerns as well as environmental and health consequences. The practice used to raise and slaughter animals are increasingly criticized for being inhumane and ethically problematic, and have drawn increasing media coverage, like The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. Additionally, the meat industry produces more greenhouse gases than any other industry. That's from the UN of 2006, apparently. And a growing body of research links meat consumption to increased risk of obesity, heart disease, and cancer. Despite the fact that plant based alternatives to meat not associated with these consequences are available in the US, most Americans include animal products in their diet. Yes, this paper has all the problems, and basically they try to throw everything and the kitchen sink at quote unquote carnism instead of their childhood trauma, like I stated earlier. Um, I mean, we just a few of these off the back of our heads. The whole greenhouse gases thing. That's an out. That's strike one certainly. Um, and then eating, meat decreases health consequence or increases, health issues, the heart disease, blah 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 blah. That's strike two certainly. And what's funny though is that like she contradicts herself at the end. She doesn't know she's doing it, or at least I don't think so, by saying people still choose to consume meat as part of their diet, right? So it's like, why not take that same logic and apply it to that research that says it causes blah blah blah, right?
Yeah, and this I just pulled up that the other paper that they refer to, um, Carnism,
Mm.
which is one of the first references in there. So
Uh,
it's also on ResearchGate. So um, it's dated differently. So I'm not sure why, but this seems to be the author they were talking about.
I
So,
see.
yeah. So who does come up with this stuff? I I've spoken many times. I'm sure Justin has too. A number of other people about the whole Seventh Day Adventist angle, right?
Mm.
And that was sort of a religious sort of um, movement. As the story goes, there's I don't know, I forget what branch of Christianity, but a Christian folk 100 years ago or whatever. There was a lady named Ellen G. White who was a young girl. She got struck in the face by a rock from another girl. Went into some sort of coma or something. Came out and said she was a prophet of God. She started dictating this um, Garden of Eden diet, which is plant based. And that's the birth of the Seventh Day Adventist, and it's all out there. You can look it up yourself. You can ask a Seventh Day Adventist. So that's where the whole vegetarian, vegan sort of religious ideology started, um, as far as the big movement that we're affected by, and that spread to Australia, New Zealand. They sell products over there under the sanitarium label from what we've been,
Sanitarium. Oh,
which is interesting because if any, and I love bringing this up, the movie The Road to Wellville.
right.
It's got a lot of famous people in it. Dana Carvey's in it, and John Cusack, and um, oh man, what's the famous British actor that played Hannibal Lecter?
Oh man, I can't think of his name, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. God, I can't believe I don't remember his name.
And Anthony
Anthony Hopkins.
Hopkins,
Yeah,
yeah,
Anthony Hopkins. You know,
Clarice.
it's got a ton of famous actors in it, and it's hilarious. But it's about the Kellogg family from the Kellogg cereal company, and it's kind of like the invention of breakfast cereal. I think it was Kellogg, and their competitor at the time was a Post cereal. It's one of the other cereal companies. So they're like racing to get basically to perfect the cornflake and get it to market, right? And this is all about controlling people's libido and increasing stool volume and flatulation, and it's just hilarious, and so when it's a comedy, but it's based on the real deal, it's based on, on real ideology, and real characters. So I love watching it. I think it's funny as hell. And that's where a lot of this comes from. I mean, even in countries like India, where vegetarianism is deeply rooted in much of the culture, certainly not all of it, but they used to not be vegetarian, and somebody just decided to go that way, and it became sort of a religious cultural influence that's persisted. Of course,
Well,
they
that and when you've got a billion people to feed, hey, go munch on these plants. It's much easier to accomplish. It's like, as we don't care about nutrition. We just care as long as they have full bellies, they won't riot. you know.
Yeah. So, and I find it interesting because I was thinking about this the other day. I was watching some podcast, and they had I forget, see a Gen Xer or whatever on or whatever. And it's like, it seems like there's this very contrived um, sort of, not really a battle, but sort of a competition or whatever between these generations, right? They went through and labeled us Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, Millennial, blah, blah, blah. And then now they created this artificial sort of animosity between them, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's funny when I call Justin a millennial, but I don't think either one of us really thinks we're of some superior or inferior
Speak for
generation.
yourself. I mean, you ever seen
Well, you
a
like
world?
being inferior, huh? Okay. Well, fine. It's
you
all
you
fine.
you ever seen a boomer try to I mean you know computers, that's all I'm going to throw out there. Computers, phones, technology.
I'll
I don't
smoke you on all of that, and you know it.
That's true. You'll smoke me.
Oh, oh my god. Yeah, so there you go.
But
Why
I don't know, I was going to say my nephew will smoke you, but maybe not yet. You might just be a little bit more on the cutting edge
I
for
mean
your
your generation barely drives much. You guys can't fix cars, and where would you be, right?
no comment. No
You didn't
comment.
have any power tools until I decided, listen, man, you got to start life. You got to start life as a guy who can get shit done, and you can't do everything on your phone.
You can order somebody to come and drill holes in your wall.
If you can afford it.
Yeah. I'm just saying, for you to say it's not possible is not exactly correct.
Your phone isn't gonna hang a TV, dude. You can get
Again, you can
instructions. You could
call.
hire somebody. I could hire somebody to be a sidekick on the show too, but this is way more fun.
You did. There's no insurance. The pay is non-negotiable, and the screen time's pretty good. That's
You
the
could
key.
have more screen time. You just gotta set some time aside. Stay up a little later, maybe.
Maybe.
Well, you'll
Uh,
have some more
that's
days off, right? Because your work schedule is gonna be like 4 days a week, right?
3 days a week.
Oh, 3 days a week, even better.
Yeah.
Spoiled brat. So you'll have plenty of time to hang out with me and record more videos. We'll start
I
doing short
suppose we'll
ribs.
see. Yeah, short ribs have got to dust those off once again.
Yeah,
Nibbles,
the nibbles,
the
the short
nibbles,
ribs and the nibbles.
short ribs and the nibbles. Yeah.
The burnt ends, as
That's
it were.
hey, there we go. There's a kids show. We'll start a kids show called "The Short Ribs and the Nibbles" about teaching kids
First
to
kids
eat meat.
carnivore,
Yeah.
carnivore. All right, it's gonna learn animation now. What are
Oh,
we gonna do
Mister
with finger
can
puppets?
smoke you and computers and everything. Oh, and animation is where I draw the line. All right, it's fine. Everyone
Oh,
has their
do
limits.
you do it? I've never even tried to do animation. It'd take me all weekend to learn.
All weekend. Okay.
Well, how long do you? I've never seen you do animation.
Hey, I can make a little flip book.
I
You ever
can
do
make a
one of
flip
those?
book. All right. All right. So, anyways, yeah, I was just making the point that there's these intergenerational rivalries or whatever. And then you look at this paper, and you're like, they're trying to apply all these crazy modern constructs, the personality inventory, associating personality inventory, and political leanings and everything. Yeah, if you eat an animal, then you're definitely trending towards violence and being disagreeable, and you're they're trying to push this categorization, and it's like, well, can you apply that to anything? You're applying these modern labels and these sort of modern but rather fluid definitions of things to something that had existed before any of that, as
Right.
though eating meat had to do with a personality type rather than just a biological function, right? The function that we evolved for, or the reason why we evolved the way we did, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, exactly. It's putting up imaginary lines where there are no lines.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like just take that square peg and pound it in the round hole.
I
You're
mean,
worse than that.
it's one of those things that's real, but it's not. And I think it all has to do with the Industrial Revolution and World War I. The greatest generation, right? Was the people that fought in World War I. They saw a lot of their friends die, family die. Let's give them a title, the world's, the greatest generation. So there you go.
Yeah. Is that World War One or World War Two?
I think the greatest generation is World War I. I
Uh,
might be mistaken, but
yeah, I've definitely heard people reference it to World War Two, but now I'm questioning that. So
World War II would be the boomers. Would be World War II.
yeah, but they were after that happened after the war, right?
Right.
I don't necessarily, in my mind, the boomers and the greatest generation weren't necessarily not the same thing.
Right.
You better look that up. Did have a great uncle that was a badass in World War One.
Raymond says World War II, so he's probably right. Wow. So World
Hmm.
War One people got nothing. All right, that's
Well,
fine.
this label says Americans born between 1900 and 1925, many of whom fought during World War Two. These individuals grew up during World War One. So there you go.
Hmm.
And lived through the Great Depression and are often parents of the baby boomer generation. Ah, they're parents of the baby boomer
Parents
generation.
of the baby boomers of the world.
Oh, because the baby boomers are the offspring of the people who fought World War II. That's right.
Right.
That's right. Their descendants are the boomers, which is funny because it's like it seems like Gen Z and uh
Gen
whatever
Alpha. Yeah.
they all think that like everybody who's not in their generation is a boomer. Like that's just like their thing. Oh, you're just a boomer, and it's like
Well, it's just kind of like anyone that messes up any kind of technological thing. Like the best one that people get slammed for is starting a live stream and forgetting to unmute their mic or something, so they start talking, and no some sound comes out, so you call them a boomer. Hey, them's the rules. I don't make them up. Yeah, you boomer.
see how you are.
Hmm.
Hmm. So yeah, I and this also alongside all those things we already said about these weird constructs that they're trying to force meat eaters into, and then the intergenerational um, pissing contest. um, there's this whole thing of like in the deep back, there's this anti-human thing, right?
Right.
Humans are all bad. They're responsible for everything bad that happened, and then they break that down into hierarchy of evil, right? You put white males right above white females, and then depending on who or where you are, you start breaking down everybody who's considered to be non-Caucasian, let's say, which is dicey at best, right? Because you gotta like, well, they're Hispanics, Latinos, are they Caucasian or not? I don't know. It kind of depends on who you ask. And then you get that whole thing. If you got just a little bit of black in you, you're black. It's like, are you?
The
Are
one
you?
drop rule.
I mean, does a guy like Tiger Woods really have to choose? I mean, why can't he just be both, right?
Right. Yeah.
And this is how he's born. And then you,
Mixed
you,
bag.
yeah, and you're mixing up a more mixed bag, aren't you?
Yes. Yes.
Just tell us
Yes.
about the bun in the oven.
Yeah, so having a kid, gonna be a dad. Good night, Margie. Uh, more. She'll be 16 weeks on Tuesday, so in a couple of days she'll
Mm,
be 16 weeks.
mm.
So we've crossed the safe zone or whatever it is, pretty much.
So what do you when your child is born? What are you gonna call it? What races is it gonna belong to? What
It's
generation is
gonna
it?
it's I'm just gonna buy them all the race cards so they can. It'll be
Mm,
like Uno, basically
mhm,
like a game of Uno for them and
mm.
race. Um, a name for the still working on namings. I personally like Ares recently, like the god of war, Ares.
Hmm. Also a reference to Aryans, the age
Also,
of Aries.
right.
Yes, those dirty Caucasians that spread out during the age of Aries. I don't know, but I mean, was what which race cards are you buying this child?
Too many,
Too many,
too many.
fistful of
I mean,
races.
I'm gonna buy them even if there's not. There's got to be one drop in there. So I'm just to be safe. I'm buying them all.
Mm.
Stereotypes and yeah, all the stereotypes.
Yeah, did I tell this story in a podcast before? I was like, high school age or right after high school. It's going to one of those movie previews. It's like the movie hasn't come out, it's not quite done yet, but you go do a survey. You watch the movie and you fill out a survey afterward, right? It's
Have
fairly
you've told this
common,
story on? Go ahead.
fairly common to go to those in Southern California.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because movie industry, they test them on crowds, before they release them, right? So going to one of those, you got to phone in ahead of time, and they ask you, your name, who's coming with you, and stuff like that. And I was going with a girl I went to high school with. I'm not sure. I might have still been in high school, or might have been after though. But anyways, so we're gonna go, and they're asking, "What's your race?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm white." Okay, and then yeah, so and so, her name, I guess doesn't matter. Her name was Tanya. So it was like, what's Tanya's race? And I'm like, well, she's half black and she's half white. And like, well, you got to pick one. I'm like, really? Like, yeah, like when you guys are figuring out who's gonna like this movie, you can't have a category of people that are mixed. It's like, because this was probably like 89, 90, something like that. So, but the probably the early onset of the politically correct, the the post hippie period, you know.
Mm,
So
right.
I don't know, but I remember going, "What? She has to pick. She has to pick whether this is black or white." I'm like, you know, this doesn't make any sense. It's never made any
No.
sense. But I went to school with kids that were like that looked more Caucasian than they did black, and they're like, "Oh no, got a little bit of black in you. You're always black. That's all it is." And I'm like, "All right, whatever." So I mean, to me, a lot of that's just cultural, right?
Hey, say it loud. Say it proud.
It's like being Jewish, you know. It's
Uh-oh.
traditional that in order to be born Jewish, your mom has to be Jewish, right? It doesn't matter if your dad is.
Right.
It's, I mean, that's really, again, that's just identifying with a, I mean, yeah, some people, Judaism is a way of life, is more than it is a religion, and we generally look at it as a religion. But some Jewish people describe it as a way of life or whatever. But really, it's a cultural thing, right? I mean, we do inherit mitochondria from our mothers, but there's no there's no Jewish mitochondria. That's the problem. And it's like when you're having conversations with people and they're just like so adamant, like, no, you're Jewish if your mom was Jewish. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not a science. That's a cultural belief, right? It's a
Right.
tradition, right? It's not science. There's two different things. And I don't think it's a legal thing either, too, right? It's not like, oh, you're born to a Jewish mother, we're just gonna put you down as Jewish. I mean, this doesn't work like that either, right? I mean, it doesn't. Does this? It doesn't even. Man, he froze, didn't you?
You
Oh, you're back.
froze.
Oh, you were frozen.
Okay.
You're just. So, so you get what I'm saying. It's like that all these sort of cultural sort of labels are kind of stitched on, and they don't really have to do with anything but the fact that somebody put them there. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And it's just the whole, well, they keep the lower classes bickering over this, that, and the other, while they take a bigger chunk out of your wallet. Right.
Just trying to.
Amazing.
Did you have any comments to read? I couldn't really quite read them.
So, congratulations to me and my wife. So there we go. Thank you, Christina, Jules, Marjorie, of course. Marjorie was a birth certificate register for 30 years. So that's pretty cool. Kind of interested in
Yeah,
learning more
she's
about
got some
that job.
stories.
Ah, Moonbeam 382 or something is a name. I don't know.
Oh man, I think there was a kid named U.S. Postal Service or something like that. She had to, she had to register. It was like, oh my god, yeah. Oh, so she's got some stories. It's amazing. It seems like everybody I know that worked in like delivery or whatever, they got stories about crazy names that moms gave moms came up with for their kids, and we all I couldn't say there's some people I know people I grew up with and stuff that have some names you're like, really, you know and you think 30 years later you'd be used to it, or 40 years later you'd be used to it. There's a few I'm like, I can't believe their parents named them that. But we can't all be named Tom and Justin, I guess.
Right, yeah. Well, Michael Jackson named his third child Blanket, right?
Yeah, there was a period of time there. I mean, there was didn't somebody have a kid named Apple or something? Was it? I can't remember. Some celebrity rock star kid named Apple.
That's not too bad. It's better than Blanket.
For sure.
I mean, could do worse than Apple. I'm changing my name to Apple now. I'm
Well,
fine
on
with that.
Apple, that might get you a nice commercial deal, a nice sponsorship or
Right.
something, right?
There we go.
So, anyways, well, shall we wrap her up?
Yeah, I think now's the time.
Do we have fun talking about another crazy article, another subversive sort of wonky anti-meat eating? I know Jules posted something, but I can't see what it is. I don't know if I can enlarge it
Yo
without.
isn't that bad, Christina. I'll take Yo. Viet and Nam for twins. That's pretty bad. Oh, and they were boys. I think they could gotten more way with it as girls, but not as boys.
Dude, there was a brother and a sister I went to school, and they runts and punts. Not lying.
Ouch.
I mean, it was kind of like when you knew them, it was kind of like, oh, the first time you hear it, like, really? And then you do get used to it, especially
Right,
because you don't see them at the same time, right? Usually, right?
right.
It's not like they hang out together all the time, but you're like, man, your parents really did that. So, and I'm like, I remember asking him, like, oh, are those like family names? Is there other runtas and puntas? No, we're the only ones. All right.
I mean, there's Pugsley from the Adams family. I don't know.
I wonder if anybody's actually named Pugsley though.
Oh, I'm sure of it.
It's believable.
It's believable. Yeah, Pugsley.
It's like Aloysius. So I hope someday I meet somebody named Aloysius. I
Well,
hope
I
that.
am
Go ahead.
for a girl. I would like to try to name her Wednesday, like from Adam's family. That's not a bad name for a
Yeah, I
girl.
don't know. I mean, that was my biggest disappointment in Emily cutting her hair. She can't do her Wednesday Adams impression anymore. That
Right.
made me a little sad. But I didn't tell her.
Nah.
Probably should. Because I used to love it when she would do that. I could never remember Wednesday's name. I'd be like, do Monday. I mean, Tuesday. And she'd go, oh, you mean Wednesday? she'd pull her hair down. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to love that.
Wednesday. Shout out to all those in the carnivore community. There you go. All right. Well, it's been a great time. We had fun. Hope you had fun. Again, I'm Justin. That's Tom. You can find us on Facebook at Autistic Carnivores, Meet Mosaic, me on Instagram, alloutlife.carnivore, me on Facebook at alloutlife.carnivore, me on minds.com at alloutlife.carnivore. Need to update that. I haven't updated that page in quite a while, actually, sadly. Um,
Yeah. Post some of our
Tom,
videos over there.
yeah, Thomas A. Clark on Instagram for you, right, Tom?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there you go. So you got it memorized.
Tom.
Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Come on, people, share that video. Get us to 2,000 subscribers. We
Yeah,
deserve
we're not
it.
that far away.
I
It'd
think
be
I think
nice
we
to get
deserve
there.
it. Just 10 more. I think we just need about 10 more. We'll be there.
Did you mention the
Awesome.
Telegram group?
Meet Mosaic on Telegram if you'd
Yeah.
like to keep your social media low key.
Send your hate mail to Justin.
Send your hate mail to me. Send your love notes to Tom.
But send the links to our video so all your friends, lovers, and enemies.
Yeah.
Good night,
And
Christina. Good
while
night.
you're at work,
Lord.
keep us on for your dog, cat, lizard, snake,
Good night,
whatever.
Margie.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Raymond. Good night, Miss
Good
Trisha.
night, Moon.
Who am I forgetting? Good night, Sly.
Good night, Miss Patricia.
Sleepy tight, everyone.
Don't let the vegans bite. And whatever you do, don't fall down the
Down the
veg
carb
hole. Hole, 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 hole,
swirly,
hole.